Hey everyone, and welcome to my guide to Warfronts in Battle for Azeroth. Today I'm going to be covering both aspects of the Warfronts feature, so we'll be doing the broader metagame, and then of course the scenario itself, and how you can get the most out of both of them. So we're going to kick it off with the Warfront scenario. Now, the Warfront typically takes place in really 3 sequential stages. So first, you take your base, then your team has to capture enemy territory and upgrade your base, and once that's done, you blast down Muradin's front door and you smash his face in. Okay, let's cover the first stage of the Warfront. So that is capturing your base, and it's really straightforward. Just hop off the airship, kill the enemy troops, kill their commander, and once that's done, you'll really be entering the main stage of the Warfront scenario, which is building out your base and capturing enemy territory. Now, it's best to split up your team somewhat, so the players with the best gear will be the best at killing enemies fast, which means they are better suited to capturing points in the map and being aggressive. Then players with worse gear can still gather resources at 100% effectiveness, so it's a pretty good idea to split the team roughly in half, with the best geared players doing the offensive stuff and the worst geared players doing the building and the resource gathering. Now, just before you split off as a team though, you do want to all go and capture the lumber mill and the mine. These are essential to winning, so yeah, everyone should do that, and everyone should load up on resources from those. You do this by picking up the minecarts, by literally mining ore, or picking up a wood axe and chopping down trees. You can do that once you capture the bases, then you want to take that all back to base and use those resources to build the barracks. Now, the barracks is the first thing you should build because it will get you troops, and just for Warfront buildings, you build them by going to their plot of land and contributing to their resource pile. This means that it's by far the best for your team to focus on specific buildings in a specific order, but I'll cover that later. The final note on resource gathering is that peons will automatically bring iron back from the mine and put it in a chest that is located beside your main and base building, so everyone will want to go back to base from time to time in order to load up on that iron and actually use it. So the mine is yours, the lumber mill is yours, and that means that it's now time to split off with a base building and resource gathering team, and then an offensive team. And we're going to be covering what the offensive team are doing first. So, first, take a look at your map, and everyone should do this. Now, you'll see capture points. These are all really important, and there's a pretty optimal way to capture them. Now, to capture a point, you just kill the enemy commander who's located at it. This will spawn in a friendly commander and a bunch of troops. They will be able to hold their own from just regular enemy trash. However, offensive waves will be able to kill them, which will lose you the base. Sometimes the base building team will be able to take care of this, and sometimes the offensive people will. It's just about not losing your stuff, really. So let's do a run through of the map. Now, on the sides of the map, of course, you will see the mine and the lumber mill. These are extremely important as they let you gather resources. Then we've got Newstead and the Circle of Elements. These unlock mounted units for Newstead and caster units for the Circle. And then you'll see 3 bases in a straight line outside your base, leading into the enemy stronghold. So Northfold Crossing provides your base with just an immediate defensive buffer. Then High Perch provides you with a location that's ideal for siege engines to fire from, and it also gives you access to flight points and captured areas. And then the final point is just outside the enemy base, and once that's captured, you've pretty much won. Capturing it is rock hard though. It's guarded by really beefy boys, so you'll need an upgraded army, you'll need siege engines, pounding them from High Perch and all that stuff. So what I would recommend doing is immediately capturing the base outside your front gate. I think that provides a nice buffer zone for your base, and it lets your barracks troops amass quite well. Now, once this is done, I would then wheel around to Newstead because the mounted units are pretty darn strong. Once that's done, I would head to High Perch, and after that's captured, I would go down to the Circle of Elements. Now, this might seem really fast as I say it, but it will take you a while to do, especially because you'll be running into enemy attack waves from time to time. Still, that's pretty much your focus, and once all of those are captured, and assuming the base building team are successful, you'll pretty much be ready to assault the final point just outside the gates of Stromgard. So, with that covered, let's talk about the base building team. So if you've decided to be a base builder, then your job is to gather as many resources as you can and to assist in the defense of the various different capture points. Now, this all kicks into gear right after the mine and the lumber mill are captured. So mine carts will spawn in the mine, though really only one player is needed to collect that because they're not shared. Now, of course, anyone with a mining profession will be useful there. Then for the lumber yard, well, lumber can be harvested by anyone. You just pick up an axe at the lumber yard and you just get to work chopping down the various different trees. You'll also want to chip into the defense of those bases whenever enemy attack waves are spotted on the minimap. So let's talk about buildings. Now, the barrack should be built first, followed by the armory. This will give you access to basic troops and upgrades to their health and their damage. Now, while you can pour resources into troops, you will want to spend as few resources on troops as you can get away with, because those troops, like, they're handy for holding the enemy back, but the path to victory ultimately is in getting more upgrades and in more buildings and upgrading your troops. So your barracks is being constructed. Hopefully the offensive players are doing a decent job taking down Northfold and Newstead around now, and you can head out and just start getting more resources. Now, with the barracks and the armory being built, you'll want to move on to building the Altar of Storms / Altar of Kings. This will get you some personal buffs that are quite nice, but the main reason that you're doing that is essentially to get the second level upgrade for your main base. This will increase your passive iron generation and the unit production from the barracks, which makes you a lot more economical and effective. Once this is done, the progression is really simple. You'll want to build a workshop, and then you will want to just upgrade your final base building. Now, the workshop lets you build siege engines. These are massively powerful, and they're the most useful once offensive players have captured High Perch. Now, while all of this stuff is going on, you want to keep up with troop upgrades and spawn in what you need to keep your various different places defended. Now, if an attack wave is coming to a base, then you might need to help with its defense, as those attack waves can kill the base's commander, which will cause you to lose the base. Overall, though, the faster you gather resources, build buildings, and upgrade your troops, the faster you will win the Warfront. Now, the end state for the base building players is having level 2 or level 3 troop upgrades across the board, having a fully upgraded base, and having 3 siege engines, with the offensive players having captured every point on the map bar the final one outside the enemy base. So, with all that covered, let's talk about the final phase. Now, with the end phase, it's time for everyone to come together. With a level 3 base, you will no longer need to manually mine ore, because the peons will automatically generate it pretty fast, meaning that the iron from your base chest will be enough to give you just a constant flow of troops. Now, these troops are super important because they act as a meat shield. They tie down powerful enemy NPCs that guard the final point, while you and your siege engines can, kill the boss NPCs. Now, at this stage, it's just about getting as many powerful troops spawned as you possibly can and just jumping into the fight. Now, at this stage, the Warfront, to be honest with you, it's essentially one with almost zero chance of failure. This means that 99% of the optimizations involved in Warfronts are for maximizing your speed in the mid-game, so offensive players capping things fast, base builders gathering resources fast and funneling their resources into buildings based off a decent build order, rather than just spreading them out willy-nilly. So that's really the main sort of stuff going on. Let's just talk about some of the other content on the map. Look, there's some other stuff there. There's interesting areas like the Ogre Room. There's some random events. I've not found those, bar maybe the minecart wagon that gives you a bunch of iron. Really, bar that, these are more just fun things to do to explore the map, to get achievements and things like that. I haven't really found any of them to be extremely key to a quick winning strategy. And really the same goes for the storm buffs that you can get. You can get these Essence of Storm items. You can take those back to your base. You can use them to give yourself a buff of sorts, which is pretty nice, but really the broad level strategy is what will sort of see the most gains. Finally, let's do some tips and tricks. So if you can advance towards a base with a wave of troops that have just spawned from the barracks, then just do that, because those troops will be a useful meat shield. Then you should spawn troops sensibly. As an example, spawn melee grunts and ranged guys together. The ranged units will sit back and nuke the enemy, while the melee guys will be a meat shield. Then, so don't spawn ranged in their own, as an example. Then attempt to always be ahead of the enemy in terms of troop upgrades. Now, you can check enemy troop upgrades by clicking on the enemy unit portrait. And if you've got a higher level of upgrades, it means you'll be trading resources in a more efficient manner, which just basically means that you'll need to sink fewer resources into troop waves, and you can focus more on buildings. Then also try not to spawn in troops piecemeal. You want to spawn in a big death ball with a decent composition. Remember how basic math works, with divide and conquer, so you don't want to constantly send small groups into a meat grinder. You want to send in large, powerful groups. Now, when you're fighting enemies, you want to target the healers, then the range, then the melee, and for getting around the place, you can use your upgraded Flightmaster's Whistle if you've unlocked that. That's pretty much all you need to do a Warfront. Well, to be completely honest, just the more coordinated your team is, the smoother the run will go. So maybe if you feel like taking up a leadership role or something like that, it probably would very much be your benefit to do that. So with the meat of the Warfront scenario covered, I think that is all you need to know to do them very well. Let's talk about the metagame. And the metagame, once again, is pretty simple. So the Alliance start owning the Warfront. This means that they will get access to the world content in the Warfront. The Horde start not owning it, and they will have to contribute to their war effort in order to progress their regional readiness bar. Once this bar hits full, the Horde will be able to queue for the Warfront scenario for a period of time, Once that time has passed, the Horde will now own the Warfront, and the Alliance will find themselves having to then do the resource hand-ins. Honestly, it's not dissimilar to the Broken Shore buildings and how they spawned in and out. It'll just pass between sites. Now, the Warfronts will give you a weekly quest that contains a 100% chance of a 370 gearbox. That's all dear heroic quality, so you absolutely want to win those Warfronts whenever they're up. Past that, though, repeatedly grinding Warfront scenarios will get you 340 gear. Now, if you own the Warfront, then you get access to the Warfront world content in Arithai. Now, this means a bunch of Azeroth, a bunch of war resources, and 340 gear caches from quests. You'll also get access to the Warfront world boss, which can drop 370 Azeroth loot. Now, if you don't own the Warfront, then you still get resource hand-in quests. You can do these once per Warfront cycle, and you'll find one for gold, one for war resources, and 9 for profession items. Now, these give you 150 faction rep with Honorbound / 7th Legion and 500 AP. Yep, 500, so that's really, really fast. That's a lot of AP in not that much time, which is pretty powerful. And really, that's it for the Warfront system. That's how you will do pretty damn well, like 80th percentile well, if you can get all those things down right with the Warfront scenario, and all that you need to know about the metagame. Basically, it's just something that you'll be phasing in and out of really every week, and it'll just be a part of your kind of weekly calendar. So there you go. That is the guide to Warfronts. I hope you found this video useful. I hope you enjoy it. And yeah, have fun with Warfronts. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.